Thank you so much for coming. And it is my pleasure to introduce my former student, Maiken Bullard, and also my former student, Dylan Bacco, who's here, and he's going to be doing his presentation later today. So Maiken got her A degree in graphic design from CSM. What year? 2019?
I am so bad at remembering
I think 2018 or 2018.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I think 2019 maybe?
So yeah, 2019, and then she transferred to San Jose State. She got her bachelor's degree in visual communication design from San Jose State, and she's working as a freelance designer. And today she's gonna share with you some career tips. So she's gonna talk about her career path, and then give you some also tips related to portfolio preparation. So please help me welcome Maiken. Thank you so much. And then we'll have a Q&A session at the very end. Okay, so Maiken will do her presentation. We'll take a little break. After that, Dylan will talk about his design career, and then we'll do a Q&A at the very end. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vera. Thanks for inviting me to be here. And today I'll be sharing my journey with you as a San Jose State University transfer student, graphic designer, and also as a working mom, and hopefully inspire and equip you to better find your purpose in your career, maybe even in your life. So it'll be a little bit informative and a little bit of like a self-help kind of talk mixed in. So on the self-help vein, I'd like to begin with a guided meditation. So think back to a time when you felt really lost. Let's just take a moment, focus on your breath. Like, try to connect with that moment in time when you just had that feeling of lost. You might find this feeling resonating strongly in a childhood memory. Or you might be saying, are you kidding me? I'm lost right now. I'm a college student. So once you find that feeling, start to visualize it as like a cold, dark room maybe, a void where you're all alone. All you see is darkness. If you watch Stranger Things, you can think of that upside down. But now, imagine a light glowing within your chest. It's slowly emerging out in front of you. This is your shooting star. Reach out, see if you can hold it in your imagination. Is your shooting star hot? Is it cold? What color is it? Does it make a sound? It doesn't really matter, but using your imagination in this way helps you connect better to this metaphor. Your shooting star is a metaphor for the light you need to guide you out of the place of feeling lost. And it was always in you the whole time. But to get out of the place of lost, you have to recognize the light, hold on to it, and follow it where it leads. So the shooting star is a metaphor for your purpose in life. This metaphor for finding purpose came to me as I thought of what I would have needed from a guest speaker myself while I was sitting in those seats you're sitting in. When I was going to CSM, I was seeking purpose as a graphic designer, also as a human living in this crazy, busy world of ours. Finding purpose is the most important thing that you can do to grow in your career and as a person. This is an active process. You can't expect change from passive behavior. You can't just be, you have to do. But paradoxically, before you can really do, you just have to be. This means starting from a place of radical self-acceptance. Being okay with who you are as you are. Resting easy in the knowledge that where you are, whether that means in your education, your career, your mental, your physical health, is where you are meant to be. Out of radical self-acceptance, you will begin to unlock your intuition and creativity. This will result in a flow of creative ideas, and also things like passion for a new hobby or an old hobby, or new or revitalized friendships and family relationships. Finding your shooting star is not always quick or easy. Our passions and our people are the keys to bringing out our shooting stars. Our passions are the things we love to do, and our people are the people that we love and care about. Some examples are here with my art. One of my passions is watching movies, and some of the people I love the most are my kids, and I also just love working with children in general. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about like my first aha moment, my first shooting star or passion. The thing that took me out of the place of feeling like I'm lost in this world was my calling to be a parent. So since I was a teenager, babysitting my nephews, I knew that my love for them was a calling to be a mom. I held on to that idea. You can see me with my nephew here, and some of my nephews. I have 3 nephews. I couldn't print pictures of the 3rd one, but they're all like huge now. But, that drove me and brought me to a great sense of purpose and belonging. So I have 2 kids, Genevieve and Jack, and motherhood has been my greatest teacher and quite the adventure. The second shooting star or purpose I found came from my husband, who suggested I try graphic design as a major when I returned to college at CSM. I seriously had no idea what I wanted to study. I've been undeclared, I've been a music major, and so sometimes it takes an outsider, someone who loves you and understands you, to give you that clarity of some guidance of where to go. So I decided to trust his judgment, and so I committed to it and followed it with 7 years of college. Now about whose judgment and advice to trust, that's another talk completely, but that's something very important to a skill to hone. So I started here at College of San Mateo, which set a firm foundation for me as a graphic designer. Having the small class sizes and amazing teachers, a beautiful campus helped me ease back into college. So can we show some appreciation for Vera? She's awesome. Also, while attending classes here, I worked as an intern in the marketing department with Dave McLean. So if you see him, say Maiken says hi. It was a really fun and positive experience. It was only after graduating that I really realized the full benefit of going to school here and the repetition of the design process. Full disclosure, I'm a terrible student based on what's going through my head during class. I just hated the repetition, hated having to give critiques. It was like pulling teeth from me. I didn't show it on the outside, but on the inside, when Vera said do your sketches, I was like, I hate sketching. And I just want to get on the computer and do it. Oh, she wants more revisions. Can I just take a nap? But it really works, the whole repetition process. You just have to trust it. This is my son on graduation day. He took my hat and said, I congratulated too. After graduating from CSM, I followed my shooting star to San Jose State University. That's me with my classmate Alexia. We were in most of the classes together with Vera at CSM. So about transferring to San Jose State, San Jose State accepts about 53% of its transfer applicants, which is very competitive. To have a shot at transferring into San Jose State University, you should have a current GPA of at least 3.45. It says ideally your GPA will be around 3.59. In addition, you will need to submit standardized test scores. I'm not sure if I had to do the standardized test scores. Who can transfer? An upper division transfer applicant is a student that will have completed at least 60 transferable semester units or 90 quarter units and does not have a bachelor's degree. If you want to meet with a pre-admission counselor or take a live virtual tour, they have resources on their website. So I highly recommend doing that if you're considering San Jose State. So A big question is what gets transferred over. It varies from person to person. It varies based on who's reviewing your portfolio. They do a review of all your design and art projects from your community college classes. So it's really important to keep those files organized, keep them handy. A member of the design department faculty will review it and decide what design major classes you will be exempt from taking. They'll give you a sheet with their initials that you need to hold on to and show to enroll in future classes. So it's very analog. I feel like they could do a better job updating it, making some kind of electronic record, but they don't do that. Each time you need to take a class that has a prereq, if the prereq was a class you got permission to skip because of a class you took at CSM, you have to show that paper, email it to the professor every time to get an ad code. So just be prepared for some frustration and tedious administrative processes. Keep documents of everything and keep it organized. So that's a huge tip I have for transferring. This is the form. This is what it looks like that you need to get from your department advisor and keep for your records. At the bottom of the form is a section that specifies the classes you took in community college that will count towards classes needed for your degree at San Jose State University. Once I transferred, I'll tell you a little bit about the differences in campus culture, in the student workload. It was, I'm not gonna lie, it's harder. It's harder to get one-on-one assistance from professors and counselors. You have to make appointments, whereas Vera was like just very accessible during class time. So at the time, I felt like I had a lot less time for each project as well. So I felt really rushed. And so at the time I felt like, oh, I'm not learning anything because I'm just so stressed out. But looking back, I did learn something. I learned how to work under pressure, how to work as a team. There were some group projects. So that in and of itself is a learning experience. I also had to look for resources outside of what the teachers could offer, so just being self-sufficient in that way. And I also drank a lot of coffee. So this is my last assignment from my senior project capstone class at San Jose State. We had to design and print a booklet that documented our design process for all of our projects from the entire semester. I wanted in this booklet to showcase my illustration skills, which I hadn't really had any, so to speak, when I graduated from College of San Mateo. But once I graduated, I took it upon myself to really learn how to do digital illustration with Procreate on the iPad with the Apple Pencil. I watched a lot of tutorials, and I feel like that was a game changer for me to just be able to pull out ideas that are in my head and not have to rely on any kind of stock images or stock photography, that can be challenging. So I have a hand-drawn kind of look to emphasize the process of sketching in preliminary design. The upside to going to San Jose State is there are a lot more fun things to do, I would say. I mean, they do a good job here, but it's more of that big college atmosphere. They have a fabulous recreation and aquatic center, which I've never been to, sadly. Just so busy being a mom and working. They have really good guest speakers, like constantly, that are like campus-wide guest speakers, but design-specific as well. They have really cool like billiards room, bowling, a lot of fun football games you can go to, other sports, and they have a lot of clubs you can join. So like I'm a mom, I didn't have the time or energy to do the full active college experience, but I definitely went to Starbucks a lot. They have a Starbucks on campus. I did have a really fun time joining the Jazz Singers Ensemble. That was like the one fun college thing I did. I'll see if this will play. This is me on the stage on the right. about music, performing, and theater in general, so that was a really cool thing that I got to do. Let me see if I can get off of this screen now. There we go. So I graduated with my BA in Design Studies this past December. They do offer a BFA program. It's a little more competitive. I decided not to go for it just because it would mean like an extra 2 years of school for me. If you are on the fence about continuing your degree at a 4-year university, I would echo the advice given to me by Vera and by various classmates at CSM. You definitely do not need a 4-year college degree to be a successful graphic designer. At the same time though, you have to adjust your definition of success depending on where you are in your career journey. Straight out of CSM, even out of a 4-year college, you still need a lot of practice and continuing education to reach your full potential. And a university can offer the motivation to do all that practice and honing your skills, but so can a first job or an internship. So you can keep your options open. So how many of you have started interviewing for design-related jobs or internships? Probably not a lot, because I know a lot of you are in the beginning class. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, nice. So I just hate interviews, so I found a funny meme. Sometimes I ask you, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And I thought this was hilarious. So I started applying for jobs / internships when I was working at San Jose State. So I applied for about 60 jobs in the span of 2 months, and I was getting very frustrated and depressed, and like, it has a way of getting to you. So the first job offer I got was described as a part-time 2-month contract with a company I'd never even heard of. It involves really simple, repetitive things like uploading PDFs to a website, making minor adjustments in HTML, saving PDFs, things like that. And so I could have been like, oh, this sounds beneath me. Like, why would I do that? But I got a good feeling from the people in the interview. I was like, let me take a chance. I have a feeling this might lead to something. And it did. So the company, I work for them currently. I've been with them for maybe 3 years now. I took a break for a little while. But they're called TCI, Teachers Curriculum Institute. I work about 15 to 20 hours per week from home for them. So it's a very flexible job for me. So a little bit about why I like working this job. It's not something that will lead to huge jumps in pay or promotions. It's a really small education company that is not really expanding, so the pay is not high. But as a mom and like someone who's active in my community, and I have a lot of health challenges, this job offers me a lot of flexibility and like a really positive work environment. So I enjoy, what I do here is classified as production design. So it's not a lot of the typical things you're learning, like iterations of like posters or things like that. It's a lot of textbook formatting. I really enjoy production design because I don't really like dealing with clients directly. It's very hard for me. I like structure and predictability, so this job offers that. I use tons of InDesign. I also use Photoshop at times, and then the least of all, I use Adobe Illustrator in this job. I don't have to present sketches or ideas, but rather I'm implementing visuals in print and on a website based on plans drafted by former educators. So I have to be really knowledgeable about the company's many procedures and processes and pay strict attention to the details, and there's lots of file management. Some of the things I worked on, those sketches the kids are holding are actually my daughter's sketches. I did it at first and they're like, Maiken, it doesn't look like a child did it. Sometimes I have to be creative, like they wanted to show a man or a person, but the kids had to write within the body form, so I suggested making the body form exaggerated, like a forced perspective. So at times I get to be kind of creative. Once in a while they have me do sketches, so I made these sketches. And I did make this graphic from scratch using Adobe Illustrator. That's for one of the textbooks. And then I created these fake bumper stickers for another project. So at times I get to be creative, and I like it. So when you're looking for a design-related job, there's something out there for everybody. Every skill set, every preference. You just really need to think about what it is that's important to you and prioritize and apply. As far as freelance design goes, right now I work selectively for nonprofit organizations. So I made this decision going back to what I mentioned about finding your purpose through what you love and the people you love. I really enjoy supporting organizations that my children are a part of. Usually my work is unpaid. I enjoy being able to give back to the community, and it's a good way to get practice and get better as a designer. This is a magazine style booklet I created for my son's Little League, Union Little League in San Jose. So in my design, I had a vision to break away from the typical sports fonts. Usually they use very heavy slab serif masculine things. I wanted to make it more playful because to me the Little League experience has been mostly about fun and just being a kid. This is another project I did for a nonprofit, Burlingame Community for Education Foundation. They raise funds for all the Burlingame public schools. So when I went to school here, we lived in Burlingame, that's where my kids went to school. Weird fact, Burlingame public schools suggest that their parents donate $2,000 to the school district per year per kid. So we were never able to afford that, but I felt like doing their annual report for 2 years in a row made up for that. Word of advice for annual reports, they are hugely time consuming. There's a lot of labor that goes into it. So think about that when you're charging or quoting your client, or if you're gonna do it for free like me. So going back to passions, think about what your passion is. It could be anything you love, like being in nature, maybe teaching, maybe food is your passion, or video games. My kids are way into video games. I'm passionate about a lot of things, but including book illustration and book design and being an author. So my first book that I illustrated and wrote was called The Friendship Treehouse. At the time, I had really rudimentary vector illustration skills. I did everything with a mouse in Illustrator. So the next book I worked on, I feel like my skills got a little bit better. I illustrated this book called The Crane Princess, written by a friend of mine. I was upfront with her about my skill level, but during this process I pushed myself to improve. I taught myself how to use Procreate on an iPad and an Apple Pencil to illustrate. And right now, currently, you can see that my illustration skills are getting a little bit better. This is a book I'm working on called Lion's Water with my friend Angela, who I met at CSM. So bringing it all back together, we talk about the 2 P words that give you life and inspiration and bring out your shooting star. Do you remember the 2 P words? The first one is passion, and the second one is people. But there's also a bad P word. That word is perfection. I want you to take that word out of your head and flush it down the toilet. Don't let it get in the way of you sharing yourself with the world. Today I shared with you how to find your calling. Hopefully sharing my story was inspiring in some way. It doesn't only take wisdom to recognize that light within you, but also you have to have courage to follow it. And the wisdom and the courage come from believing in yourself. I wanted to create original illustrations for this presentation today, but I didn't have enough time. In the past, I would have let insecurity get the best of me and maybe said, there, I can't do this, because I knew I couldn't make it perfect. But instead, I didn't let perfection get in the way of sharing my story with you today. Here's some resources that have been really helpful to me in the past few years. I recommend this book called The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate. It's mostly a self-help book, but it can really help you find your purpose. It's part manual for creating a better world in general. There's a lot of layers of application in it. It's so much wisdom. Also, I found digital illustration courses by Ross Draws. Has anyone heard of him? You can find him on YouTube. He also has paid courses, which I've started using, and I've tried to find a few self-help, like self-taught art videos, and he's the best by far. So I recommend his classes for illustration. So feel free to connect with me on my Instagram, my LinkedIn, follow my blog on Medium. I just blog about a lot of random stuff. The meditation I shared with you at the beginning of class is not only tied to the theme of this talk, but feel free to use it as a tool you can use anytime you feel lost. Just imagine the light emerging from within you. Hold on and see where it leads. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maiken, for your such motivational, inspirational talk. And we're going to have a Q&A session, guys, at the very end. As you know, we have one more presenter here today, Dylan. So I'm wondering if we can take maybe a very short break.